Hello, everyone, and happy Thursday. Well, I just love blending different holistic therapies, and that's what we are going to talk about. How do you blend something like EFT and qigong for better hormonal health and hormonal balance? And that's what we're going to find out from Kaity, who is an EFT practitioner. She's a qigong instructor as well as a reflexologist joining me live. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Great. Well, educate us, tell us your story on how you came about blending these two beautiful therapies.
Yes, of course. Well, I'll start really quick, just explaining the two for those of you who do not know what they are. So qigong is an ancient Chinese practice. It's kind of like a moving meditation is the best way to explain it. You're using mindful movements, a lot of breath work. We're working with our meridian channels, which are our energy systems. So we're really kind of unblocking those energy channels, breaking up that fascia so we can get blood and energy to different organs of the body. So it's a very holistic healing approach, but I kind of say it's kind of like yoga, but you're not getting the heart rate up as much, and you're not, it's not a form of exercise, it's more for mindful movement. And then EFT tapping is where you are tapping, you're using acupressure on those meridian channels, but you're also going to be using some sort of psychology. So you're going to be talking about an issue that you're going through as you're tapping on those meridian channels. So a lot of people probably heard of it as just a method called tapping. It's very popular with that. So yes, I fused those two together because I found out of all the therapies that I use to try to heal myself and a lot of my clients, these two work the best. And they really, I feel, working with your mindset and your energy together can be very healing for the whole mind, body, spirit connection. And when it comes to hormones, a lot of times what happens is we focus solely on our reproductive organs. So we'll focus on our uterus, our ovaries, and what we can do to heal them. And really we need to be focusing at the body as a whole. And that's what I've kind of learned as I started doing these modalities.
Okay, so let's just go through, and I know there's a lot of research on both these modalities, qigong as well as EFT. You're welcome to talk about the research, but let's just talk about a simple sequence that you would recommend to your clients that would combine EFT and qigong for hormone health.
So for hormone health, so I like to combine the two because EFT, a lot of times when we are working with our hormones, I know from experience myself, I suffered from PCOS, I suffered from infertility for years. And during that time frame, I felt very unworthy of healing. I felt very broken. I had a very bad mind-body connection. So for EFT, it's a way for me to work with my clients to work through any of those negative thoughts that we're having. Because really, if we're thinking that we can't heal, if we're thinking that we'll never get better, we'll never be able to conceive, our body will hear that message and it will hear it loud and clear, and it will make it very difficult for those things to happen. So with EFT, I work with a lot of my clients, just kind of getting them in the right mindset. So believing that they can heal, believing that their hormones can balance themselves out, and anything that they're struggling with, just kind of getting their mindset in that right place for improving. Also with EFT, if there's any type of trauma that you experienced in your life, and this doesn't have to be trauma that we normally think of, like something horrific happening, but anything that might have happened in our younger years that set our body in that fight or flight response. A lot of times as we grow up, there's little things in our life that happen that trigger that fight or flight response, and we're living in that chronic stress. So again, tapping through whatever that trauma might have been in our life and those thought processes turns off that fight or flight response, because we know we cannot heal if our body is in chronic fight or flight. So with that EFT tapping, again, working on the mindset, turning off that fight or flight response, removing all of those negative thoughts we have about healing. And then I combined it with the qigong, because qigong is really great for just getting the entire energy system working together. So a lot of my clients who are struggling with hormonal imbalances have been on birth control for years. They've been on fertility medication for years. And a lot of times when we are on medication for a long time, it can block those energy channels, especially to our reproductive system. So we're going to be using qigong to really open up those energy channels, getting that energy flowing, not just to our reproductive organs, to our spleen, our liver, our gallbladder, everything, because everything needs to work together in order to heal. So once we get that kind of that mind-body connection, then your hormones will slowly start to balance themselves out.
And what would be some of the points? Maybe you can just help us, you know, the tapping points that you would recommend.
There's pretty much a flow. You could do it however you like, but Dr. Callahan, he's the man that made EFT tapping about. So you start on the side of the hand. And with the EFT tapping, like I said, you're really bringing issues to the surface. So you would start on the side of the hand, and this is where you would say your statement like, even though I struggle with balancing my hormones, I choose to love, honor, and accept myself. And the reason why we say it in a negative is because we're bringing our issues to the forefront. We're not burying it. We're bringing it to the surface so that we can kind of face the facts and kind of change our mindset on it. So we'd start on the side of the hand, tapping, saying, you know, even though I struggle with my hormones, I choose to love, honor, and accept myself. Then it would be on the inside of the eyes, balancing my hormones, outside the eyes, struggle with balancing my hormones, under the eyes, I struggle with balancing my hormones, top of the lip, feels like everything I've tried, nothing works, chin, and all I want to do is balance my hormones. And you do to a collarbone, it's causing me great frustration and anxiety. And then it would be right underneath, right kind of on the bra line for females. And I'm just frustrated, I'm ready to heal my hormones. And then you do the top of the head, frustrated, ready to heal my hormones. So you would go through a tapping sequence like that, talking about the negative. So what emotions come to the surface when you think of healing your hormones? If there's specific things that you are working on, like a lot of my clients like are struggling with infertility. So we'll tap on that. Once you feel like your mindset start to shift on that subject, then you put in your positive affirmations and you'll tap through the sequence using your positive affirmations. Like my body is healthy, my body is healing, I'm ready to conceive, and tapping through that way. So once you feel that energetic shift, then you'll start doing the positive affirmations. And then from there, then we add in the qigong, which is just kind of different movements. Like I said, they're very slow moving, energetic movements to help get that energy flowing and help really kind of calm the body down.
And the qigong would be like after the tapping. Is that like first you said the tapping, right? So we finish the tapping sequence, and then we kind of go different. Just show us a move, if you don't mind, a couple of moves.
It's like a common is just kind of heaven and earth. So we want to connect ourselves to heaven and earth. So you just push your left arm down, right arm up, and you just want to do like a breathing, and then you exhale, rotating hands, pushing one arm down, extending the other one up. So we have our meridian channels running all throughout our body. So our lungs, small intestine, our heart. So when we're making these movements, we're really getting all those meridian channels moving as well. So you just take a breath and you're moving with the breath. Breathing out, extending, and breathing in. So like I said, very slow movements. Another one, you could just have your hands right here, and you're just going to be gathering that energy, that chi from around you, and you're going to pull it down the center of your body, and exhaling as you bring it down. So when you're doing these movements, you want to be as present as possible. So that's why it's really important to like say out loud, like breathe in and exhale out, just as you would with a meditation. So those are some movements that you could do. A lot of my clients would be working on the meridian channel that wraps around our waist, just because, like I said, we have that energy flow that's usually blocked right here when we're working with our reproductive system. So even just warming up your hands, a lot of times just placing them on your kidneys and doing those circular motions as wide as you can go in one direction, and then rotating in the other direction. So just breaking up that kind of that belt meridian, so we get that energy flowing through both channels of the upper and the lower body. So those are some, there's over 1,000, just like how I know like a lot of people know yoga, so I'll refer to that, but there's over 1,000 different moves that you can do. So there are a lot out there, but it's just really those meditative, mindful movements.
All right, well, thank you so much. I think I always, when I look at qigong, it looks to me like a restorative yoga, you know, very slow movement and kind of taking a pause in between. That, you know, if you were to make a comparison, that's what, you know, At least and I'm not a yoga expert. I'm just making a comment.
Yeah, no, very much so. And it's kind of, I mean, it's very similar in nature to yoga, but there are so many different types of yoga. Yeah. So like yin yoga, where yin yoga focuses a lot on like the meridian channels and breath work. So very similar to that.
Absolutely. Well, this is a quick 5 to 10 minute session that we bring on a daily basis. This was a quick session how to infuse EFT and qigong for your hormonal health. Keep your comments coming. Keep supporting us, and thank you so much. Anything else you'd like to add, Katie? You're welcome to say your Insta account or whatever.
Yeah, so you can find me. I have a lot of videos on YouTube where I blend the two. It's just under my name, Kaity Neiswonger, which is Neiswonger. And you can find me at Kaity Neiswonger on all of my social media platforms. So that's Instagram, TikTok. I think that's everywhere. Yeah.
All right, great. Amazing videos, I must say that. Thank you so much, Katie, and thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.